as much as transfers are about getting players in through the door, it also is really important to get them out, because they're the most important components in getting the right amount of money to actually make moves happen. And today, in Barcelona's case, there are two very important departures that can shape their entire transfer market and therefore their entire season from now onwards. What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? BugaLuis here, and welcome back to another episode of Pay-Per-Views here on the channel. And today we have to talk about, like I said in the intro, two very big departures. The departures of Luis Suarez and Nelson Semedo. These two moves in the transfer market now will create a lot of dominoes effect around Europe. So stay tuned, because we're also going to be commenting on that and how it will be affecting the other clubs. But without further ado, let's get right into what most Barcelona fans want to hear, and that is the news surrounding their club. So starting off right away, we got the departure of Luis Suarez to Atletico Madrid. This is something that has been in the making for the longest of times, and the main figurehead, the main person behind this story, is like most of the stories nowadays, is Fabrizio Romano. The man is an absolute machine and keeps pumping out the news, and probably is the most reliable person out there right now in terms of just transfer market. On the transfer window, that is basically who you want to follow. And he's been saying that now Luis Suarez to Atletico Madrid, it's a here we go. Last details to be completed on the next few hours, deal done. And he has already agreed personal terms for already some few days now with El Cholo Simeone. This is very important now, because the main thing stopping this move from happening earlier, and especially Juventus kind of getting this player, because we know the Italian giants were also in for the player, was that Suarez had a very big wage, and he wanted out that to be paid so that he could leave Barcelona. He wanted some sort of percentage of the wages that he wasn't going to get because he's going to terminate his contract. And Barcelona, at the end of the day, ultimately has managed to convince him to actually forgive that and then just get his future out by the door and already start seeking what he would do next. And that next seems to be, well, Atletico Madrid. And Atletico Madrid, to actually make this move happen, has made two things. And one of the first is actually getting Luis Suarez to reduce his wages. That is very important, because this player is on huge money. We're talking about an absolute superstar. And the other thing is that they're close to selling Alvaro Morata to Juventus. That move is something that I want to kind of show you here right now in another tweet from Romano. And he talks about how Morata could be moving on a 10 million loan move to Juventus with an option to buy of 45. The reason that this is important actually is that since Atletico Madrid are going to get this player for free in Luis Suarez, they don't need to pay a transfer fee. So what they would need to make up is for their wages. And even though he's reducing them, it's going to be very, very high. What is this means for Barcelona then and for Atletico Madrid? Well, I'm kind of already planning, actually I already kind of produced it, I would say 60%, a video talking directly about this move, where we actually talked about Luis Suarez's career and all the impact. So I'm going to be doing that video and uploading it probably today or tomorrow. So that's going to be, I guess, good for you, and you can subscribe for that. But for right now, as first impressions, Barcelona will now be able to go for new targets. That be Memphis Depay, that we know is already one of the main guys that Koeman wants to pursue for that center forward position, right? And then also it would allow them to get a little more of kind of that wage bill down, which is very important, especially because we're talking about, like I said, the club that had the biggest in the entirety of Europe. The wages that Barcelona paid were just humongous. So now they're finally going to be getting a player out from that list, which is a good thing at the end of the day. For Atletico Madrid, they're getting a good player, someone that is going to be a clinical finisher, someone that's going to be absolutely out of this world when they need him. And I'm actually a little bit kind of surprised that ultimately this is where Luis Suarez chose, because for Luis Suarez, it means return to hard work. And we know that Luis Suarez is a guy right now that is not perhaps on the best of physical conditions, and I'm no one to say that, especially, but going to Atletico Madrid is certainly going to be a huge test for him. And in a way, it might be what he actually wanted. You know, it might be a move that he said, you know what, I want to get my career back on track. I want to have some good final years, and the Cholo Simeone could be the guy to get me back on shape. So that could be actually a good move for Suarez. And well, just wrapping this up, we got a news from Moises Llorens from ESPN. He's an also very reliable source that talks about how Atleti doesn't want to kind of just wait any longer to announce Luis Suarez. And to be honest, if I was them, why would I, right? You're signing a very big player in Suarez, and he could just come in basically and not take any more longer. So I want to know your opinions on this departure, and now let's move onwards to the second one. Moving on, the next departure that we have is that one of Nelson Semedo. And as we know so far, Nelson Semedo is a very interesting character because in him there's a really good player, but at Barcelona he just wasn't able to catch a break. You know, he was never able to get that consistency, get that amount of game time, and kind of back it up with good performances. He never was able to do that, and therefore that's why we're seeing this departure, because at the end of the day, at 26 years of age, Semedo is still a player that has some market value in him, and that is how Barcelona is able to get a whopping fee of 35 million euros for a player that, to be completely honest, in my opinion, is worth around like 20. And yeah, they're actually getting in him a good kind of departure, because they're not only getting a good amount of money that will probably allow Barcelona then to get the likes of Eric Garcia, that we're going to be commenting later in this video, and also a right back, which could be Sergiño Dest, or even the reports of Max Aaron from Norwich City, which I still do not kind of understand, but well, he's there. So this move, a single move, will be able to fuel 2 transfers, and that is a good thing to see, because in Nelson Semedo you're letting go of a player that would need game time to kind of get back to that peak, and you can actually give that to a youngster. You know, Roberto now it's 28 years of age, and he could kind of get 1-2 more years out of him, and then this new player can settle into the squad nicely and just completely you know, take completely over. And that is basically a good strategy from Barcelona, something that we haven't been seeing for the longest of time. So applause to them, I guess, in a way. So here I'm going to take in a thread again from Hagrid of FCB, an account that has completely just kind of taken up to the rise, and great for him. It's been absolutely terrific, on point for every single news. And he is already commenting from Fabrizio Romano, and I haven't been able to find that exact tweet. But the thing is that now Barcelona are convinced they're going to be signing Eric Garcia. The reported fee is of around 18 million euros. And the thing with Eric Garcia is that before City are able to sell this player, they needed to find someone in to get through the door. And it seems that Koulibaly, which it's actually, I'm going to leave this here, but it seems that Koulibaly could be also in talks with City again, because there seems to be a rumor that kind of they stalled or whatever. So now that City is able to kind of reignite the negotiation with Koulibaly, they are able now to kind of, you know, understand and let go of Eric Garcia. And Eric Garcia actually have not been included on today's match day against Wolverhampton Wanderers. So that means kind of like the move is already on fruition, you know. 80 million euros for a player that is actually a very good, promising youngster. I think it's absolutely great piece of business again from Barcelona. And City will not necessarily be letting go of a player that will hinder their performances so much, because he's a player for the future exactly on that. And City right now do need a center back like ASAP, and if they decide to sell Eric Garcia to get Koulibaly through the door, I mean, it's a good piece of business, I think, for absolutely everyone involved. So I just have to say like this, good move from everyone. And if Koulibaly is not going to be the target that City are getting, they're moving towards also Jules Koundé from Sevilla. And Koundé, if you don't know him, because he's a player that relatively kind of just entered to stardom this season. He was a very good youngster coming on from, I think it was Girón de Bordeaux. And then he moved to Sevilla and just had an absolutely incredible season, a really, really good season, winning the Europa League on his first year at Andalusia. And he is now a great prospect, because I don't know what is about him, probably the afro that makes him play like Socrates back on the day. You know, he's absolutely incredible when it comes to defending, with reading out the game, and for Manchester City would actually be a good move. But I still think that for that amount of money of 60 million euros, if you pay just a little bit more for Koulibaly, you're probably getting a better defender in him for the moment. And Koundé still may be a project and may be incredible for the future years, but for Manchester City, I just do think that they do need that kind of ASAP defender, kind of like when Liverpool signed Van Dijk. So I would kind of stop the ship on that one and kind of focus on the Senegalese. So guys, what do you think of the transfer news that we covered today? I certainly do believe that this will create a major kind of, like I said at the intro, a domino effect around Europe like we just saw. It's going to be a huge few days for basically the entire transfer market, because as soon as these pieces move, as soon as Semedo gets to Wolfsburg, as soon as Luis Suarez gets to Atletico Madrid, we're going to be seeing these transfers in left, right, and center. And I believe that the best way for you to keep up to date would certainly be to follow this channel. So yeah, that's going to be it for right now. See you in the next one. Take care. Ciao, ciao.